concluded our meeting, we said that we will get a report from the Democratic Alliance on what is their take on the matter which was discussed here. Do you have any report, Honorable Cameron?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning. Chair, in short, the Honourable Kola Barnard is not in attendance today. She'll be following virtually, and no one is being recused yet or planning to be recused. We have asked for a legal opinion on the matter, and we will give the relevant feedback. We have decided that the Honourable Kola Barnard will not be in physical attendance today to allow the committee to do what they need to do and to continue with their work. Thank you, Chair.
Did you bring a member?
I've got the Honourable Schikkeling right next to me, Chair.
Is she the alternate of the alternator?
No, she is alternate, Chair, and she will be in the place of the Honourable Kola Barnard today.
Okay. Well, honourable members, I think what we should do here is that. Okay, Honourable Cameron.
Sorry, Chair, I slipped. She's in the place of the Honourable Breitenbach. The Honourable Kola Barnard is an alternate. She is already an alternate. Yeah. So the Honourable Schikkeling will remain in the place of the Honourable Breitenbach.
Yeah. We are not going to take the time of the committee and use it to discuss that matter because the member is not here. Let's do the business. Our business is not Honourable Kola Barnard. Our business is to investigate the allegations that have been made. And because today she is not here, we can't discuss that matter now. We should just go straight into our proceedings. But I'm going to request members to read section 165 of the rules so that when we come to discuss that matter, all of us have gone through section 165 and we know what the provisions of that section are, because the provisions of that section will help us to deal with this matter. Thanks very much. This is how we are going to proceed today. I have met with all of you this morning to inform you how we are going to proceed in line with how we agreed last night. Okay, maybe let me just do the roll call. Honourable Sangoni, are you present? Honourable Ntuli, Honourable Ngola, Honourable Sokanyile, Honourable Nomvalo, Honourable Skosana, Honourable Shongwe, Honourable Cameron, Honourable Schikkeling, Honourable Mwango, Honourable Malema, Honourable N. Mattheys, Honourable Sols, Honourable Vessels, Honourable James. Thank you so much. We are all present. This is what we are going to do. The apology of Honourable Breitenbach stands. The JSC is still busy with its sessions. We are going to allocate the ANC, Honourable Sangon, 1 hour plus 10 minutes. The MKP, 30 minutes plus 10. the DA 30 minutes plus 10, and the EFF 30 minutes plus 10, the IFP 30 minutes, and the PA 30 minutes, the Freedom Front Plus 10 minutes, and the Action SA 10 minutes. So, in your case, MKP and the EFF, the 30 minutes are allocated to you because you are going to have one speaker plus one alternate. The EFF as well will have one speaker plus one alternate. But in the event you want to share the 30 minutes plus 10 amongst yourself and the alternate, you can still speak, the three of you, Honorable Skosana, Honorable Nomvalo, Honorable Shongwe, but you will be limited within 40 minutes. It's 30 minutes for the full member and 10 minutes for the alternate. The full member of the EFF is Honorable Malema. In the event he uses 25 minutes of his 30, Honorable Matthys can use the remaining 15 minutes. That is how the allocation is done. And the alternates for the IFP and the PA are Honorable Vessels and Honorable James respectively. So in the event either Honorable Mwango or Honorable Sauls are unable to exhaust their 30 minutes, the remainder of the time allocated will fall to those alternates. Is it very clear, honorable members? And then from there, when we are done with this first round, we will then come back to the second round, where we will take the last member of the ANC, MKP, and DA, and then we round off. So, so the time that is allocated to yourselves does not include the response time which the witness will be using. I see your hand is up, Honorable Sangwe.
Yes, Chair. Thank you so much. Good morning to you, Chairperson, and good morning to all members, the General, and everybody in the room. Chair, I just wanted clarity on ANC time. So we have 4 members, which means that we have 2 hours plus 10 minutes, not 1 hour and 10 minutes. In the first round, it can be 1 hour in the second round. So I just wanted clarity on that. And then, Chairperson, you also then indicated that the time does not include the responses. In the committee, the agreement was that that time includes the responses. Because if we literally have 30 minutes to ask a question, we are never going to finish. Our understanding was that it includes the responses, and we would have planned accordingly. My final point, Chair, is in terms of allocation of our time, can we leave it to the discretion of the party how we allocate our time, having appreciated what you said of 2 rounds and the total amount of time being 2 hours, 10 minutes? Thank you, Chair.
That is what I'm saying to you. Let me clarify it, honorable members. I said that for the first round, you are going to have two speakers. So it means in your case, you will have 2 plus 1. And I don't have a problem with how you allocate your time. It's 1 hour, 10 minutes. and then use it the way you want to use it. But once it peters out, I'm going to stop you. And then you are right. The ANC has 4 members in this. You have 4 plus 1. So the misfortune of the ANC is that the 4th member of the ANC is the chair of these proceedings. So the chair has a discretion to ask questions, and being a disciplined chair, if I ask questions, I won't go beyond the 30 minutes that we allocate for members. I can't abuse my position as the chair, but remember, I have that right as a member of the committee to participate and ask questions, but it must be within our agreements or the decisions that we would have taken. Honorable Nomval.
I was looking for the mic and I couldn't find it. There are supernatural powers. Chair, no, I don't remember us as the committee making an agreement that the 30 minutes will also include responses. I'm sure all of us noticed yesterday, and even if we had taken that agreement, it was not going to be ideal under the circumstances, considering how broad our first...
I don't want us to waste time, Honorable Member. I think it's what the chair said yesterday. I even gave an example to say, if you ask a question and the witness takes 29 minutes of the time responding to your question, it means the member is put at a disadvantage.
That's
and
correct.
It defeats the purpose of the ad hoc committee. So
if we agree, Chair, then that's okay.
Yeah. Honorable Malim.
Thanks, Chair. I hear people talking about second round. Some of us minimum is 3, so I don't understand. But we'll accept whatever you're saying on the rounds of second and third. But we normally do 3 rounds. Natural. So, Chair. So I wanted you to understand, you are going to start the questions.
Yeah.
Because you have to start and then hand it over to us.
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like now, what I want to check with yourselves, is there anybody who we're on the first round? Is there anybody who wishes to start, or any party that wishes to start with its 30 minutes plus 1 or 1 hour? I mean 30 minutes plus 10 or okay, I see the MKP and the ANC. So let me follow the rotation system then. I'm handing over to yourselves, the African National Congress. Can you indicate how many from your party are going to ask?
On the first round, Chair,
Yeah.
going to be 2.
1 hour plus 10 minutes.
Are going to be 2, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. It's over to you.
Thank you very much,
And then
Chair.
your time starts now.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, on a point of order.
The procedural matter.
Procedural.
Yeah.
I thought procedurally, like I said, you will have to start. So that as a chair, you lay the foundation. And then when we come, we know how to conduct ourselves. So it's the SC. Once the SC is done, then the chair comes in. Then you lay a foundation. That's the purpose of being a chair. Then all of us are going to follow that cue. And it doesn't mean you chose that you will not speak for more than 30 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah.
But even if you decide to speak more than that, you are the chair. You use that discretion. But if something else is being suggested, it's like I once said in a political party meeting where a president suggested that members of the NEC must give a political overview. How can you do that? So as a chair, you give direction, the style of questioning, how we conduct it, and we learn from you and we follow exactly what you have done. That's what being a chair means. So normally it goes to the leader of evidence. Once it's done, it goes to the chair, then chair takes it to the members. But if it's different, I don't know.
Chief Whip.
No, morning, Chair, morning to all colleagues and General and all participants and attendees to this meeting. No, Chair, I don't think that there is a binding procedure like that, where you have to be the first person to ask questions. You are the chair of the committee. And part of your responsibility, which is what Honorable Malema says you must exercise, cannot be constrained by the fact that you did not start, which is to guide us to discharge our own responsibilities in a way that is consistent with the terms of references of this committee and in line with our mandate as members of parliament. The justification that Honorable Malema is making to qualify his argument that you must be the first among equals, I think that intervention he says you have to do, it's not difficult to do it even if you are not the first person to start asking questions. So I want to suggest that we allow members to ask questions. And if in your own opinion, Chair, along the way you also want to make use of the time allocated to you, you should be perfectly clear to do so. But I don't think the condition that is being set would be difficult to fulfill if you are not the first one to ask questions. Thanks.
Oh, okay, can I check if there are members who want to speak on this matter?
No, I withdraw, Chair. I was giving you an opportunity to set the tone. But if you don't come from COSAS, you wouldn't understand what you said in the tone. Thanks.
No. Honorable members, what we should do, let's allow the chair to use his discretion. I'm your chairperson. At any stage during the proceedings, I should be able to participate. And so what we should do now is to allow the parties and the members to fill their questions. Honorable James, your hand is still up.
Thank you so much, Chair. Chair, just a clarity-seeking question from my side in terms of the format of which we'll be posing these questions. Will it be questions and then answered immediately after, or will you cluster it?
Yeah.
Will it be question and answer question, or will we ask all our questions and then the General will answer it?
Let's take the questions two, so that there is no lapse in concentration. Like we normally rotate items in our meeting. You fill 2 questions, you wait for response, fill 2 until your list is exhausted. Okay. Honorable Ngola from the ANC is yourself and Honorable Sokanyile. Okay, thank you so much. May you kindly speak, Honorable Member.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you very, very much. I just wanted to find out, because yesterday we had 2 colleagues of our SC. The other one was released to go and consult with General Sibiya. Today I'm seeing there's 2 new members. Now, I'm not sure what is the modus operandi? Maybe tomorrow again there'll be another 2, the next day another 2, the next day another 2. So I just wanted clarity on that. Thank you.
No, my apologies, Honorable Member. The Senior Counsel has spoken to me about the matter. The lady that you see sitting next to the Senior Counsel is part of Parliament staff because the 2 juniors or co-evidence leaders who work with Advocate Arendse are concluding that part which was supposed to have concluded yesterday with General Sibia, but also to make sure that when we come here tomorrow, we do not have the same hiccups like we had yesterday. Is that acceptable to members? I want to apologize that I did not bring that to your attention. Thank you. Honorable Nwala, are you able to start? Are you ready?
Yes, Chair, if not interrupted again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning to members. Good morning to the evidence leaders, General Mkhwanazi, and the people of South Africa. Chair, I want to first implore you to expedite the interactions with the chairperson of the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. I think the last time you reported that there must be a follow-up with them. I'm imploring you, Chair, on this matter because the General would have also mentioned some intelligence-related matters, that which include the COVID and secret fund account, that which include some walls being built, and there's an issue of the questions that were deferred to the JSCI. So we may actually be willing to understand if the JSCI has attended to those matters that were formal questions to Parliament by Honourable Kolapanat. So I think we'll be able to get to the bottom of that. General, good morning, and I will want to implore you again as well that where the question requires specific names, if they are known to you, please don't hesitate to tell us the names of those that may have been allegedly involved in the alleged criminal syndicate. General, you say on the 31st of December 2024, whilst you are busy preparing for the new year, the minister writes a letter, a national directive with the intention of de-establishing the political killings trustee. So I want to check if the directive was it wholly unlawful, or there were parts of the directive that were actually within the powers of the minister in terms of Section 207, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa.
Honourable Chair, honourable members, good morning. Honourable members, I will not say that the minister's directive was unlawful, because yourself, as members of Parliament, have never passed a legislation that makes a letter of that nature to be unlawful. Therefore, I don't think a person can be taken to court as a result. However, I feel that the content of the letter, it's an indication that the ministers was basically exercising powers that are not necessarily deferred to him, which was bordering into the operational part of policing. But why do I say that? Is that if you look at the 3 items that the letter is addressing, one item talks about discussions that must be held surrounding the borders.
I think that is more relevant to the minister. It's a strategic thing that the minister must engage with executive to understand what's happening with the border security. So that one for me, I'll give it to the minister. But the one that directs that there must be an immediate freezing or filling of post, I feel is not within the authority of the minister, although the regulations have been amended, which allows the minister to have a say in terms of appointment of senior officers in the police. But it only limits the minister to that any appointment will be done by the National Commissioner in consultation with. It does not necessarily give the powers to the minister to appoint in those positions of crime intelligence. I think the Act only allows the minister to appoint in the post of DPCI only. That's the only authority the minister has. So in filling those vacancies or suspension of those vacancies, I feel the minister might have exercised the powers that he really doesn't have. But of it being illegal in terms of the law, I'm not sure. I don't think it will be justified as that. The last part of the immediate suspension of or disestablishment of the team, as the minister's words on the letter, again, I cannot say immediately that such a directive will be illegal. However, the consequence as a result of that becomes a criminal matter. Because when you disestablish something and that is busy with a criminal investigation, you are not replacing it with anything. So we are in short saying that the investigation must stop. So that therefore it's breaking the law. So while the letter contains all the three subjects, the last one that talks about the disestablishment of the team without giving reasons, without explaining what happens to the investigation, that for me is the one that could be regarded as breaking the law. So in short, in summary, I will say then the letter does break the law, although not the entire content of it.
So it is the evidence of the general that the letter itself contains both operational issues and policy-related issues.
That is correct.
Thank you very much, General. You indicate that in the letter that which was returned to the National Commissioner, there was a back and forth of the letter by someone else who presumable or allegedly it may not be part of the police service in South Africa. Is it in the knowledge now at this stage of the general of who might be this person who has influenced the writing of the letter or the directive? Who may be the actual drafter? Is it in your knowledge at this particular stage, General?
No, Honorable Chair members, I do not know yet. As I had said earlier yesterday that I've registered a complaint and there's a criminal investigation. I'm told that the criminal investigation is in advanced stage and the part of what they're investigating is exactly that, checking the communication between the minister and the chief of staff through WhatsApps, through emails, through everything to trace that letter. Where did it originate from? So I guess that matter will be ventilated in court. I don't have the details now.
Thank you, General. Without ventilating into the merits of that investigation, does the General think that this might be a person very close or linked to the Minister of Police?
I would like to believe that it is a person linked with the Minister of Police. And as a matter of fact, it is my belief that it is a person within the South African Police Service.
Thank you, General. In the WhatsApp messages that some of them have been part of the attachments here in the volumes of the documentation that was given to us, you mentioned that you have written a WhatsApp text to the Minister of Police, humbly requesting that a meeting be facilitated with the National Commissioner and other top brass of the police service. But part of what is contained in the message that you sent to the minister is that can there be an invitation, can the invitation be extended to Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi, who is not part of the police service? Why did you think that there is a necessity for an involvement of the person who is not part of the police service in such kind of meetings? Because we understand that you may have wanted something to be resolved.
Yeah, the honourable members, the reason why I propose those names is because of the role that those people were playing in influencing the trajectory or how the organization is managed by the minister going forward. So after having learned that Mr. Mkhwanazi is close to the minister by the chief of staff, after having heard the minister himself said that Mr. Mkhwanazi is his comrade. So understanding that as a minister, you are executive authority that come from a political party. So perhaps it is that political party through that comrade that gives you this advice politically of how you must manage organization. And the worry was the continuation of this individual, Brown Mkhwanazi, having access to sensitive material of the police and the impact of that in terms of the minister's role as executive authority is what I wanted to bring to the attention of the minister. And so that the minister is aware of the implications of allowing Mkhwanazi to do that and what is the consequence as a result that's going to come after that. Same with inviting General Khan. I specifically picked up General Khan amongst everyone else because it is Mkhwanazi that brought Khan into my picture. And it is General Khan that almost everything bad happening at crime intelligence seems to center around. That I know his role in the political space where he interacts with the politicians. And I wanted all those things to be discussed so that the minister understands that the Police Act has got limitations of what police officers must do in terms of the political space. And if a police officer is invited to play this active role in the political space, what consequences are going to come as a result? So that's why I identify these individuals, not to say, honorable chair and members, that if there was any criminal incident that has happened or the criminal involvement or act by these individuals, that such will not be pursued. It was going to be pursued. But what I felt was important at the time was to prevent the further damage that was caused in the organization by the roles that these people are playing and how the minister eventually takes decision being influenced by these individuals. So that was a main reason I wanted to have all of them under one roof.
Okay. In one of the trail of WhatsApp messages, you do make an indication that this directive affect me and my family. Are you safe? Is your family threatened and your loved ones are they? Do you feel that there is enough protection in terms of the fracas that is going on in the country?
Honorable Chair and members, the safety of my family is a responsibility of police officers around the country. I said in the public before that I've got family members in majority of these provinces of South Africa. And to guarantee their safety, it's up to the men and women in blue out there to provide security. I don't have money, honorable chair and members, to hire bodyguards for my family members. It's impossible. I cannot do that. So their safety can only be guaranteed by men and women in blue that are out there that's supposed to protect everyone else. So I might believe that their safety is equal to the safety of every citizen. Their vulnerability in terms of crime applies to the rest of the citizens of this country. So they are not different to anyone else. There's no special provisions for them, and I cannot guarantee whether they are safe or not safe. They are immediate family members to me. They are extended family members on me, and then there are other people that we became close to over time that are all over. So I cannot give a 100% guarantee about their safety. It is what I'm trying to fight for, that the South African Police Service must be allowed to make sure that we protect the citizens, including my family members.
In general, let's move to IDEC prosecution, judiciary and correctional services. And I will plead with you once more that where a necessity arises for you to mention a particular name, please feel free to do that. You say IDEC, the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, is divided into two sections. And you refer to one of the sections as a rogue section. Maybe if you can take the committee through, how did you arrive at the conclusion that IDEC is divided into two? And who are the prominent members of this rogue section in IDEC? And Chair, I'm also asking this because I'm Chair of Justice, so it's very important for our work as well.
Honorable Chair and members, the entity within the NPA that is responsible for investigating corruption in the country, which was recently established, I say this divided into two sections. I made an example yesterday and I invited the members to do the profile of an arresting officer of the members of crime intelligence. You're going to know that he's an ex-crime intelligence member. And when you look at what IDEC is supposed to deal with, then you ask yourself whether does this investigating officer, Mr. Padayache, fits the profile of being appointed at IDEC to first place. Whether does he have qualifications, skills, and everything to do with investigation to deal with such sensitive cases that the legislature was intended to be done by IDEC. That's a point of departure that you're going to see that is people that will just move. That's the first thing. Secondly, you look at the number of cases that are within IPIT, or they were within IPIT when Mr. Sesoko was still the boss, head of investigation at IPIT. And how many of those case dockets were moved from IPIT to IDEC? And what was the reason for such movement? And that's another reason why I'm saying that. And thirdly, you look at just a profile of all the cases IDEC is dealing with, and you take that entire caseload, you compare with the establishment of IDEC, and you see whether a typical example of the arrest of an appointment of an officials within crime intelligence of who's going to earn a salary over a period of 12 months of just over R1 million, does it meet the requirements of what IDEC was established for? For IDEC to travel from Pretoria, coming here and take a statement from the complainant, the Member of Parliament, is that what the legislature was intending to do with IDEC? Or has IDEC lost the plot? So those are the typical examples that I'm putting there. The other members within the very same section of IDEC I'm talking about might have found themselves there because they're looking for jobs. But we are here today because some of those members do not like what's happening. They themselves, they are there, they see the wrong. They are doing because they're employed. But at least they get to share this information. Hence we are here today. We are privileged that there might be members within the very bad section of IDEC, but they are good in their heart because they are able to share this information with us. They are there, they can see what is wrong, and I cannot expose them now and say so and so and so and so. So while the section is a bad section, but not everyone in that section is bad. There are members within the very same section that are good at heart. They just don't like what's happening, and I cannot give their names, unfortunately. I want to isolate that one, Mr. Padayache.
So is it the evidence of the general that Mr. Padayache is possible the center of the rogue section at IDEC?
I will argue that he's not.
Okay.
He's an enabler. He's a pawn in the game.
Okay.
He's the one that's been used, as when you You, in your house, you're going to have the small dog that is very sensitive to noise, is going to bark, and then you have the real big dog that will tackle an enemy. So that's what Padache is.
And I hope that
he's a runner.
I hope that the general is not saying Padache is a dog.
No. I did not say he's a dog. I said he's a pawn in the whole scheme of things. He's the one that is more the runner. He's the one that goes to the Inspector of Intelligence to negotiate things. He's the one that goes to court and demand cause. He's the one that the magistrate, in the bail condition of the members of crime intelligence, the magistrate give Padache an authority to access crime intelligence. If these members want anything at crime intelligence, they must get it from Padache. So Padache, being an ex-crime intelligence member, is given a carte blanche to enter from point A to point B of the Office of Crime Intelligence by the court of this country.
Okay. Let's go to the arrest of General.
Honorable Nola, before we proceed, can we just confirm to the members that the statement that the General made was metaphoric? Can we get that confirmation? Look, what he says is that when you have a small dog and a big dog in the house, and the understanding must be that it is a metaphor. Is that so, General?
That's why I use the word, for example, when I started. So
that we must not live here with that impression. I know you said it, that he does not mean that so-and-so is a dog. And it must be clarified for everybody's understanding that this phrase or this statement is metaphorical. We have a common understanding, all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. No, the General understands that it was on a lighter note. Let's take it to, yesterday you took us through the processes that led to the arrest of General Khumalo. And you said the arrest of Khumalo is a project to stop criminal investigations in Gauteng province. Can you give the committee and the people of South Africa the nature of this project and who possible names that are at the center or are leading this project or are part of this project?
Honorable Chair and members, I did indicate yesterday that it's a sensitive project that is within the intelligence. Okay. I cannot elaborate much on what's happening. Safe to say that it being regarded as Gauteng counterintelligence operation, it will involve the intelligence community of the country. As therefore, although there is an criminal investigation that end up in court, but in terms of the extent of the risk that the investigation is involved with, and the targets that have been identified through that investigation, I'm not in a liberty to talk about it because one, I'm not necessarily part of it. I got to know about it by default because of the counter that has been happening in order to stop that investigation. So that's why I became aware, but I'm not in a liberty to talk about it in this platform. Honorable Chair and members, it's going to be important to understand that I said earlier that General Khumalo and the team are facing attacks on two sides. One attack is in relation to the investigation that's happening in Gauteng, which is mainly drugs that are operating. And that affects the people that are closer to the senior investigators in the South African Police Service, because when cases are open, they expect police officers to take those cases and make sure that they are not investigated further. That is on one side. And on the other side, which I think is more critical one, is that the arrest is affected because of the fight back by members within crime intelligence who are against the reforms that are introduced at crime intelligence. So they want to take control of a crime intelligence. So it's in those two bases that you have in criminal issues on one side in Johannesburg, but you also have crime intelligence fight for these members to have control over these resources. That's what, in the main, I believe, that leads into this arrest. That's why you're going to see the court coming up with a court order that says you are accused of having been part of the panel to appoint one person who applied for the post in the police. You facilitated that appointment, which you didn't necessarily appoint yourself. You were just facilitating on behalf of the National Commissioner, and you made recommendations, but you get arrested for that, for being part of facilitation of that process. And then the court makes a court order that says, we are accused of having done this wrong. The state is accusing you for this. And this incident happened at this particular address in Pretoria. But the magistrate rules that you are prohibited from entering any crime intelligence offices anywhere else in the Republic of South Africa. So even if there was a crime intelligence office here in Cape Town, they are not supposed to enter the premises. So when you ask yourself, what is the relevance of not entering an office of crime intelligence in Cape Town versus you being accused of being part of the panel to appoint someone in Pretoria? You just doesn't make sense. I'm not a legal expert, but the common sense tells you that there is more into this than what we hear. Someone is going to accuse me and say the matters are in court, you can't talk about it. But the truth be told, we all human beings. We all got weaknesses as human beings. One way or another, you become weak on something for whatever reason. So I believe in this case, that bail condition that was granted was not coincidental, was not just a mistake, was a calculated move.
Thank you, General. Chair, I think the issue relating to the project on General Khumalo and the disruptions of the reforms in crime intelligence, we can leave them for now. I'm judging from how the General is answering. Can leave them for now for that later maybe in camera meeting. General, you since the 6th of July 2025, you kept on using criminal syndicates, drug cartels interchangeable. And later when you went to testify even in the commission, you spoke about a big five. Do you perhaps feel comfortable to share who are these big five that you keep on referring to? I don't want us to use code names. If it's possible that you can share with us and the people of South Africa that who are these people who are part of the big five who are actually running drug cartels in the country and possibly controlling some of the institutions of government.
Honorable Chair and members, I'm not sure whether the members have the statement that should have annexed on this statement, which is a statement that I presented before the Madlanga Commission. If I were to invite the members, maybe I think it's attached NSM3, if I'm not mistaken.
Which volume, General?
I'm trying to figure out now these volumes myself. Just give me a second, Honorable Chair.
They say it's volume 3. So it's NSM what? Did you get the page?
It should be on my statement. And but on which volume is it?
It's volume 3.
Volume 3 or 3.1.
What is the page number? Do you have it evidence leader?
Page number. Okay, I want to invite the members on that volume 1, NMS 3, to open page 83. Page 83. It's on paragraph 275.
Mm-hmm. Check. Okay, you can proceed, General.
Okay, honorable members, Chair, to answer the question of the honorable member, I think it's important to look at that sketch that we put in the statement. You are asking who are these big fives. We can only talk about the big five of those that are already arrested and they are in court. Those that have not been arrested, unfortunately, we're not in a liberty to talk about them. You will see that the big five on this graph are those that are marked with red on that picture on the left. So that whole group, the only names that we are making it visible here are the two names, and that's a name of a Vusmus Matlala, who is known as Cat, as well as Katiso Molefe. Both individuals have been to court, and I think you are privy to the court processes related to their cases. We have the other three that we did not reflect here. They are known. Their names are known. I must say, honorable chair and members, these are tenderpreneurs. These are the people that the government has been awarding tenders to. They are quite big financially. They are part of this whole lot. We did not put their names because we did not want to implicate people before they appear before court, except the others. The place that we feel comfortable to talk about it, we name the names, and the others that we're not comfortable with, we did not put the names.
That's fine, General. That's accepted. You say there is an involvement of the judiciary in all this fracas. But in that process, you mention only one fellow magistrate, Mahlangu. Are there any other magistrates or judges? Because when you say the judiciary, we include the two. Any other magistrates or judges that are suspected to be aiding this alleged criminal syndicate? And in respect of Magistrate Mahlangu, what is her links in the entire syndicate?
Honorable members, again, I don't want to go deeper into the status of the investigation, who's who in this whole puzzle. Therefore, I'm not even talking about the names of people that are part of the criminal activities. I said when I addressed that they are presiding officers, which are members of the judiciary, that are participating in these illegal activities. And it's not one and not two. And I confine myself to this criminal investigation. That's why I made a reference to those that are in Gauteng province. So I'm not going to call them by names. The magistrate that you are talking about, although I did not call him by name, I mentioned the magistrate because he's presiding over the matter that is in court already, has got to do with the arrest of his members and the bail condition that was granted. So it's that which I'm only highlighting, that You have a magistrate that sits and listens to what the state is asking for, and then the magistrate comes up with his own rules, his own rulings, contrary to what the state is asked for, and more stringent things. Then you ask yourself a question: but why? Why do you have to go to this extent, magistrate? And these are the questions that, when things like this happen, it makes us to go deeper to try and establish exactly what then is the role of this individual in this whole investigation that you are busy with. So I have not called his name, and I have not called any presiding officer's name. And those details will be made visible by the team if they're so willing, but it cannot be done in the open meeting.
Thank you, General. I think we'll skip to the next three questions because they are related to what the General is talking about, an ongoing investigation. So as it relates to the judiciary and the link to the crime syndicate, we'll just keep it. Maybe we'll deal with it when time allows. Let's go back to. You say there is a prosecutor who has submitted an application for a warrant of arrest to a magistrate for it to be signed, but later called that warrant must be withdrawn because he or she does not want to lose her job. Do you mind sharing with the committee and the people of South Africa who is this prosecutor? From whom did they get this call? Who apparently is this powerful person who might be aiding some of the wrong things within the criminal justice system? And you'll forgive me, General. I said that some of the questions I'm asking because I'm the Chair of Justice, so they are part of the mandate that we've been given.
Yeah, I'm going to invite Honorable Chair. There are quite a lot of information that might need to be revealed by the team that is busy with investigation that experienced that, because I received the report. I said on my statement when I started that the information I'm presenting before the ad hoc committee is information that I saw on my own eyes, information that I was authorized to have access to, and information that was shared to me by my colleagues as they are working. So some of the things I might not necessarily give it to you in black and white, for instance, to give you the name of the magistrate, but I'm confident that those members whom their names I can give you, that were involved, they can come before this committee, and I will request that it can be done in a closed meeting where they can tell you exactly who the magistrate are, because those are the members that are from counterintelligence. So I wouldn't want them to be then coming before cameras here and exposing themselves as coming from counterintelligence, because their lives will be in danger. But they will come and give you a sworn statement about what transpired on the day. And subsequent to that, what then was the intervention that was done with the National Director of Public Prosecution? And subsequent to that, what happened? Who are the advocates who were part of that meeting? And what was the discussion in that meeting? And how was it resolved?
Okay. On the 6th of July, in the press briefing, which is annexed here as SM3 in the NSM3 in the annexures, a statement of the 6th of July. You kept on mentioning correctional services, but as time goes, you don't go deeper as it relates to who are these officials within correctional services, and what is their link and their role in aiding the operations of the crime syndicate?
Honorable members, as part of the investigation, without putting people's names, I made an example of, and which is a public knowledge that you all know about. The Minister of Correctional Service, the National Commission of Correctional Service, they always conduct raids at correctional facilities. And when they do those raids, they always come up with illicit goods that are not supposed to be in there. We are still trying to figure out how does Thabo Bester get out of prison and he'll end up in a foreign country. This is a typical example of how bad the system is within the correctional service. We've got a lot of examples on how crime is organized behind bars, how people get killed by people that are behind bars, that get released to go out and murder someone and come back into a correctional facility. So what we cited as an example when we made our presentation is that Ye is one of the big fives, Mr. Matlala, is arrested and is detained at the maximum prison of our country, in Pretoria, Kgosimapuru, but is caught with a cell phone inside that facility. So that cell phone, for sure, was not dropped from the sky to get into the courtyard for him to get it. It was facilitated by someone within the correctional facility to have access to it. So we cited that one example, but we're not going to elaborate more of the other people that have had access to that correctional facility to come and see these arrested people and been assisted by the officials within. Some other items that have been given to these people that are arrested of the Big Five, facilitated by individuals within correctional facilities. So that's why I said I'm not going to go deeper into naming the names, who is doing what and who's doing what, because that is part of the criminal investigation that you're busy with. I just highlighted some of the examples in there. But as I was talking about this investigation, I was confining myself in Gauteng. But it's a problem across the country. South Africans will tell you that. Across the board, you have that problem. As the human rights allow for people that are in custody to have visiting rights, amongst others, the same human rights then allows illegal activities to happen, because then there's exchange of monies and the likes that are happening, while people are supposed to be taken away from society.
Okay. Is it the evidence of the general that the attempt to de-establish the political killings system was unwarranted? Most importantly, because the executive authority did not solicit a formal briefing from the management of the police service, and also because the political killings system has made a very great impact in terms of fighting political killings of politicians, traditional leaders, and the sort.
That's exactly. The minister, who's the executive authority over the South African Police Service, come from KwaZulu-Natal. The very same province where this problem exists. The very same province that was a cause of the formation of this team. The minister, having that experience of coming from that province, he goes against his own boss, the President of the Republic, who publicly on the 18th of May says these political killings must stop. And the minister goes out public and he says the political killings ended in 94. There's nothing like that now. So you then ask yourself a question, but what makes the executive authority to even say things against what his bosses say in public? And he has confidence to do that. On top of that, the minister has not received an advice, a briefing from the National Commissioner or the executive authority within the police. Disabling so, Honorable Chair and members, is that the very same act, the members of this parliament felt it is important to establish the civilian secretariat within the South African Police Service. And that civilian secretariat, I feel there's a DG there. And I feel the ministry does not make use of the DG. Because part of the responsibility of the DG, as contained in the Police Act, is to give legal advice to the minister, is to guide the minister about the do's and the don'ts. But if that DG was invited by the minister to brief him or seek advice before he signs such letters, we wouldn't be here today. The ignorance of that office of the executive secretariat of the police is part of the contribution that leads us into the wrong decision taken by the minister. He might not have been briefed by police management, but at least the DG at the civilian secretary will have briefed him, because that's the responsibility of that DG. But it looked like the minister did not take advice from all those people. I do not know whether the DG did brief him or not. Perhaps he must be invited to come here and say whether did he brief the minister before he signed the letter or not. Because the Act, Police Act, gives the DG the responsibility to advise the minister.
General, is it your evidence that a successful de-establishment of the political killings task team and a successful removal of the 121 dockets from KwaZulu-Natal to Pretoria would have definitely resulted into an abortion of justice?
It's exactly what has happened has resulted into that. Although the dockets are back in KZN, but we are sitting with a lot of complaints already from our clients out there because there was an obstruction that happened as a result of that decision.
General, thank you very much. No further questions, Your Worship.
Honorable Sokanyile, are you covered? Okay. You can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me greet you, the honourable members, and the invitees. Good morning, General. General, when you talk about the PKTT, you're saying that it was very much successful. Then the PKTT was established. But before that, the president, when he visited Mr. Msawenkosi Mchunu, visiting that family because Msawenkosi Mchunu was assassinated, then he saw that political killings have escalated. Then he formed the interministerial committee. Then you have the interministerial committee that is there formed by the president, who established the PKTT, having the interministerial committee and the national commissioner. I'll tell you why after you have answered me. If you can just give me an answer. Who established that PKTT?
Is the national commissioner.
So the PKTT was established by the national commissioner, then the cabinet, it introduced the interministerial committee. Then, so its disbandment, it should have been done by the national commissioner, not by the minister, because the minister had no jurisdiction. Because to me, that interministerial committee was chaired by the Minister of SAPS. And that ministerial committee played an oversight role to the PKTT. If it played an oversight role, then there was a directive that should come to the IMC saying that you can stop here. Don't do that after having those meetings, even though you have said that they were not meeting frequently, even though they had to meet if there was something urgent. Then can you give me, do the interministerial committee give directives, or was it allowed, or the directives, they were coming through the National Commissioner to the PKTT?
That is correct. The National Commission one will give directive what needs to be done.
Then, in the meetings now, if the IMC is having a meeting, then it will be surely it will be the National Commissioner who will bring a report and who will go out and communicate. So in other words, it means that the Minister of SAPS, even though he was chairing the IMC, had no jurisdiction to talk to the PKTT.
That is correct. The ministers can engage just about everyone they want to engage with. They can talk to every member. However, when they take strategic decision of this nature, it has to follow the chain of command first, and secondly, it has to be decisions that are within their delegation of authority. I must indicate, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, that the Minister of Police at the time when this IMC was functioning well was Gerald Cele. Gerald Cele is an ex-police commissioner. Gerald Cele, I'm sure everyone knows, is a very active person that wants to get involved with a lot of things, and most of them end up being operational. It is Gerald Cele to have expected to have done something like this because of his energy that he has in terms of policing, but he did not. He still respected the National Commission. So each time he'll come to the province, and even he happens to be in KZN and he wants a briefing of something, he will not phone an investigator and say, come and tell me about what's happening somewhere. He will phone one of us, either the National Commission, myself. He always tell me when he's in the province, as well as the person who was running the project, Gerald Khumalo. He was always engaging in that line. I mean, sometimes he'll come with the National Commissioner. They will have meetings, even if I'm not there. But he always engaged in that fashion, even if he does it outside the IMC. But he always followed that chain of command. So I do not know, maybe he was privileged to understand because he was a police commissioner to understand the chain of command that maybe even someone did not understand. But that's just an example of how we were operating all the time without problems. And I'm sure even if there was a time for such a disestablishment of this team during that time, perhaps Gerald Cele would have taken it through the IMC to say, we started this, it's gone this far, we don't see much of this thing happening anymore. Let's approach the president and disestablish this the responsibility that was given to us by the president, and I'm sure they will have done it in a correct channel.
Yeah. Then you are having provincial commissioners under the national commissioner. Then yourself, you had to report to the national commissioner about how the PKTT was working. And even going to Gauteng, where you sent, you didn't ask any advice, any permission from the IMC. Police were sent because of the agreement from the National Commissioner and yourselves when the Provincial Commissioner of Gauteng wanted to be assisted.
That's correct. When there was a call for the members to be assisted, it only had to end with the National Commission because it was an operational thing.
Then in yourself, the role of the IMC, in your understanding, or see it in practical terms now, you are having the National Commissioner responsible for the PKTT, which you are nearer to it than the IMC, its role having the National Commissioner. I know the minister will play an oversight over the national, but having the IMC established specifically for political killings.
Yeah, well, I guess the presence of the IMC in a way took away the authority of the executive authority of the minister over the police, because then the work that the team was doing was to account to this group of ministers, with or without the Minister of Police presence. So any other minister will chair that meeting, that IMC, and we must account to that minister on what we're doing as the police. And the minister, together with his colleague, they will take that information to the president. So that is what, that's a setup that was created. So the national or the Minister of Police cannot claim to be the owner of such an operation. So the action of Minister Mkhwanazi was flawed in relation to that. It missed that part.
Because to me, if you're saying that they took the powers of the Minister of Police, but the IMC was chaired by the Minister of SAPS.
Yeah, it was chaired by the Minister of SAPS. But once it becomes an IMC, it becomes a group of ministers that those that must execute must account to all of them. Honorable Chair and members, maybe I must also indicate how we structured in the organization. There's a cluster which is called the JCPS cluster. And when we operate within that cluster, we get directives that are coming from the cluster. So once a cluster, through the Joint Operation Intelligence structure, issues a directive, you will find a letter that is signed by maybe the Commissioner of Correctional Service or the Chief of the Army that directs the police to do A to Z. It's carrying that badge of JCPS. The police must do that. You're not going to say, no, this is not a national commission, you're not going to do it. Because we understand that it's a cluster that is given the tasking, that you must execute this specific task. So when you look at part of the example as we are discussing this, the annexure on this statement, volume 2, in your folders, just to emphasize the point, perhaps it might be visible, I'm not so sure. No, it's not visible. The presentation that is sitting on this, I think it was extracted, and there's some pictures that I wanted the members to see, which are not visible on this presentation. But the presentation that we were giving all the time, as we summarize the work of the team on NSM4 on page 32. Oh, no, sorry. That presentation is for the one of Portfolio Committee. My mistake. I will find the one perhaps in some of the example of the presentation we'll give to the IMC. Every time we give the presentation to IMC, we're going to put the coat of arms, then we're going to put the national flag as on top of the presentation. That is an indication that the presentation is not for the SCPS, but the presentation is for the cluster. So when to see in the cluster working arrangement, the presentation made, it does not reflect one department. It covers all the departments. You sometimes going to find the SSA badge in the defense badge in there, and many other departments that are involved, NPA and so forth. That's what you're going to find all the time. So once you see that, then you get to know that this is not one department's project, but it's a combination. We've been doing those type of presentation all the time, and that's how we structure it. If we do the police thing alone, we put a police badge. So that gives an indication, where does this one belong? So I guess if the minister had been privy to that, had called for a presentation, we were going to give him a presentation that has got multiple badges in it. And that was going to be a signal to him that this is not SAPS thing alone, it's for the collective. So he will have gone back to his colleagues to discuss the disestablishment.
Okay. having the IMC and the Minister of SAFs chairing that IMC, playing an oversight role to the PKTT through the National Commissioner. So you're saying that he shouldn't have given a directive to the National Commissioner to say that disestablish this PKTT. You're saying that he was not supposed to do that, even though you know that he's playing an oversight role through that IMC, his sheriff, so that he reports to the IMC.
That's correct, Honorable Chair and members. I think I found what I wanted to make an example on. If you go to volume 3 of the annex on your folders, and you check Annex MK5 there under NSM 3 on the volume 3, written 3.1 on the annex there, page 151. And then it starts from there and it runs to, there are quite a number of pages of this presentation. I think ends at 170. So if you look at that presentation there, you'll see that there is a badge of the South African Police Service as well as the badge of the NPA. That's what I was talking about earlier. So that the moment you have a presentation that is going to have more than one badge, then you must know this doesn't belong to one entity. It's a combination. So that this is a typical example of how we present.
Then the last question that I asked. This
matters are stored in the police stations under the supervision of the investigating officer. Now, this political killings task team was established in 2018 when the scourge of political killings was rife already in KZN. Was the political killings task team only dealing with cases which were reported to it, or there are cases which they took from the police stations which were already reported prior to their establishment? That is my first question. You can answer, General.
Yeah, the team, when it started, I think I will have explained it somewhere that when it started, it had a number of cases that already registered, that they took over. That obviously those dockets will have been at the police stations that were given to the team when it started. And as the team was working, the team also will have generated new cases that will have happened if there's an incident that happens and the case is open, that case gets transferred to the task team. And in other instances, you're going to have parallel investigations that will be, while the team is investigating one case and they discover that that case has got a linkage, or the suspect they're looking for has got a linkage into another case. And then they go and request that that case be brought in and merged with this one, just so that the chances of conviction can be improved. So that's a variety of dockets that the team was handling. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, no, you have answered it adequately. And then the minister was appointed in July as the minister 2024, and the letter was issued on the 31st of December 2024. So the conclusion from that is that the period between the assumption of responsibility by the minister and the decision that was taken was 6 months. Between that period, did the minister ever summon a report of these dockets to have an understanding of what is happening and to have an understanding of progress that has been made? Have you ever had a meeting, if not you, the national, according to your knowledge, if not you, the National Commissioner, with the Minister were in, the dockets were a subject matter?
Honorable Chair and members, the only engagement we've ever had with the Minister of Police is when the Minister was appointed as a Minister of Police. We were all invited in Pretoria where he gave the Minister presentation. But in that presentation, there was nothing talking about task teams at all. And that was the only closest engagement we've ever had with the Minister where he briefed him about the state of policing. So when the decision was taken about the disestablishment of this PKTT, we hadn't had any opportunity to engage with the Minister. At least I know myself, I was not invited to meet with him. And later I learned that from the National Commissioner himself also did not have an opportunity to talk to him about it, neither General Kumalo. But when you read what the Minister is saying on his letter, is that he's been briefed. So when the Minister has been briefed, it simply says someone told the Minister that this team must be disestablished. So it is that someone that I believe drafted that letter. And I can speculate, I can assume as to who the person could be. Why will I assume is because I've got evidence that junior members of the South African Police Service are communicating with the executive on how they must manage the National Commission. You will have a General Spear sending a WhatsApp to the Deputy Minister of Police. I don't know who's the Deputy Minister. I'm still investigating that part. But he will send this WhatsApp message and tell the Deputy Minister and make suggestion. The Deputy Minister, you must hold the National Commission accountable with this and that and that. And you will further say, I've even shared these things with comrades so and so. These are General Spear writing messages to the Deputy Minister. And I told the two Deputy Ministers when we met with the Acting Minister recently that one of you is part of the problem. I just don't know yet who, but one of the deputies is part of this problem. And so I said it in their face. They can't deny it. They'll confirm. I have WhatsApp messages. Therefore, we are part of the investigation. We'll establish who is this Deputy Minister. But that's just a typical example. I don't think I've shared with the members. I don't know if you have that WhatsApp. SC, I did communicate with yourself about this one. I don't think we presented. Because I can show you as an example of how General Spear sends communications to deputy ministers and about issues that he's supposed to address with the National Commission, but he addressed it to the deputy minister. So the deputy minister must come back and make the National Commission to account on it. So if you want to, maybe you can flight it on the screen if need be, because I do have some of these WhatsApp messages. That the fortunate part, he did not just send it to the deputy minister, he also forwarded these messages to the office of the Inspector General of Intelligence.
So, following the narrations that you have given us, it is reasonable to make a conclusion that the decision to disband the political killings task team was taken by the minister without having requested for any report from the relevant people within the SAPS with regards to the status of the work of the political task team, of the political killings task team. Is that the correct conclusion to make according to what we have said? Do you agree with that conclusion?
I strongly believe, Honorable Chair and members, that what is contained on this letter is not the minister's words. I strongly believe that. If the minister was honest, he will say that someone made me sign this. I did not write it myself. As when the other letters that were signed off by the former Inspector General of Intelligence that were drafted by General Mdluli, that the Inspector General did not write, but she signed them, the letter. And I said, I invite Advocate to Jay Cavender to come here so she can confirm those things, because she used to work in that office of the Inspector General. So when the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde, says to me, the letter's been going back and forth, it made me believe that he was a facilitator of this letter coming from somewhere where it was being drafted to the minister for signature, and back being corrected, and eventually gets a signature. So I like to believe, as much as the minister has to take ownership of the letter, his signature is here, but I don't think he's the author of this thing. Because if he was, then the question would be, Minister, why didn't you feel that it's important to first sit down with the National Commissioner and talk about this? How could we make such a drastic decision based on the wrong information? I mean, if you look at what that paragraph says, in 2019, that's a wrong thing to start. A directive was made to the National Commission of Police following the Morane Commission report. I presented before this committee that the President of the Republic, on the 18th of May 2018, he addressed the citizen in Pietermaritzburg about this matter. On the 21st, there was a meeting of the IMC. On the 24th of May 2018, the President was in this House of Parliament. We spoke about the IMC. But comes the Minister of Police, who arrived in July 2024 as the Minister of Police. He comes and he says, this task team was established in 2019 based on the Morane Commission. We can see the person who's misinformed. He's a year late about the dates. So it's part of the things I wanted to address to the minister. Had he given me an opportunity, we're going to talk about. But he felt that I'm less important to be listened to, and he goes ahead and enforces this letter. So it's a typical example of why I'm saying the minister did not draft this thing. Someone wrote this and made the minister to sign. But if he says it was on his own who wrote this letter, I hope that what he's going to say here under oath versus what the criminal investigation is going to uncover is going to collaborate. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem.
I think I'm satisfied with your response, General. On page 20, paragraph 87.
Before you go to the next question, just to check, General, because Honorable Nombalo says, at the time the minister signed or sent, or the letter was sent on the dissolution of the PKTT, had he demanded a report, a status report to say, this is the work that has been done by the PKTT. It is succeeding or it has failed. So here with this letter, be informed that we are dissolving it. Was there any request for that status report?
I will expect, Honorable Chair, that the minister understands that the accounting officer in the police is a national commissioner. Therefore, a report must be requested from the national commissioner. So what the national commissioner is saying is that he was never requested. But national commissioner will come here tomorrow. I'm sure he will come and confirm that. But he says he was not informed. He was not requested to provide such. But on the defense of Minister Mkhwanazi, I cannot say that he did not receive any briefing from somewhere. There's a possibility that he might have been briefed by the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, Charles B. I'm not saying he did, but there's a possibility that he would be briefed by him. A person who might claim that says, I'm in charge of all the investigations in the country, so therefore I'm briefing you, here's the position. And if he believes that, well, it's up to the minister then to account why he believes something that comes from a junior person, but not the accounting officer.
Do you have any recollection of yourselves who were involved being requested to provide any report?
No, there was never a request.
Thank you so much. You can proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for that progressive intervention. General, on page 13, paragraph 20 of your statement, you are saying Mr. Nkabinde said he was put under significant pressure. Did he mention to you who was putting him under pressure?
No, he did not mention that.
So you didn't make a follow-up question of who exactly was putting him under pressure?
No, I did not.
Okay, with regards, you have also mentioned that there was an attempt to link General Khumalo to the murder of Cindy Somakaka, the former SG of the ANC Youth League. And the impression which I drew from how you expressed it is that that attempt was just frivolous. It had no material evidence. So they wanted to use it to destroy General Khumalo. Are you in possession of any evidence, even if you don't disclose it, if it's going to compromise the investigation hereof? Are you in possession of any evidence which suggests that General Khumalo was never involved in the murder of Cindy Somakaka, and therefore any attempt to associate him with such was nothing but just a frivolous attempt to destroy him?
Honorable Chair and members, I was the Commander, Provincial Commissioner acting in KZN 2018-2019. I've been involved with the work of the PKTT, and each time they are in conducting investigation, they were keeping me informed about the status of the investigation. That's why I know about the arrest of the mayor, I know about the arrest of the municipal manager, I know about the arrest of police officers, I know about the arrest of the hitmen, and I know about the challenges the team faced when they're trying to seek information from crime intelligence in order to establish whether indeed is it true that the vehicle and the firearm that were used were sourced from crime intelligence. If so, what was the project that the crime intelligence was busy with that led into such? So when I was briefed about all those things, and also a meeting that was held at Pietermaritzburg prison, new prison, over the weekend, outside the visiting hours, where a group of men dressed in black suits and driving fancy cars that came to have a private meeting in prison with the mayor at the time and some people that were arrested discussing that case, a meeting that ended with information coming to us that the people are going to court on Monday, the mayor is going to be released in court. And exactly that what happened. When they went out to court, they were all released. The mayor and the city manager were released, except the hitman. That's why the hitman is now making stories, because he was part of the initial arrest. So I knew about all that information. But when I saw in the media, Mr. Adams, member of this parliament, who I believe engaged with one of police officers that were arrested, that is currently in custody in KZN, and who then the member who used to work with the political killings task team, arrested by the same task team, he's then becoming a whistleblower by claiming that the team is the one that was behind the murder of Makap, forgetting that the team is the one who was behind the arrest of the people that were involved in the murder of Makap. That mispresentation, which landed in a public space, and the narrative was drawn that Khumalo is a bad person as a result of that. The PKTT are bad people. As we speak now, members that used to work in the team have been visited to issue statement or write statement, negative statement against the team. It's something that's happening as we speak by the people that want to justify that there was a need to establish the team. I've said members were arrested within the team. If Khumalo or any other member that was working in the team was wrong, they can be arrested as well. Don't dissolve the team because of those individuals. Over 30 police officers were arrested. The team was not dissolved because they was doing his job, arresting on one of their own as well. So if Khumalo is one of the people that should have been arrested as a result, that evidence should have been presented. We've got a PIT that has a responsibility to investigate police conduct. They should have been approached and given evidence and let them investigate. But that was not objective because there was no facts on that. But it was just a smear campaign to make sure that they distort the image of General Khumalo and the members that are working in the PKTT.
if my memory serves me well, General, the decision to release the two members that we have spoken about, the former mayor and the former municipal manager, which was made in Umzimkhulu Magistrate Court, was that there was no insufficient evidence. But following from what we have explained, the assumption that we can draw is that there was a collaboration of the police and the prosecuting authority, the NPA, because a decision to withdraw charges is not made by a police officer, but by a prosecutor. So I'm telling this committee that for the release of those two individuals, the police collaborated with the NPA, and if so, is there any investigation that is underway in pursuit of finding evidence in that regard?
The collaboration, I wouldn't say between the police and the prosecution, but the prosecution that took a decision that we're collaborating with, I believe, maybe the lawyers of the arrested people. And of course, there are officials within correctional service in Pietermaritzburg that were part of this, because they allow such a meeting to take place in times where the visiting should not have been allowed. And so, and that led into the release of those arrested people at the time. The investigation continued, it never stopped. The conviction that has happened now of the person that when they were released, they made a deal with the hitman that will look after him. So, but when they're outside, they could not look after the person as they had committed. So that's what made this man to be angry in custody. That's why he ended up talking about the things that he was talking about, that he was part of this, and then they didn't look after him, so therefore he's confessing on what has happened. The unfortunate part is that the mayor killed himself, despite the fact that we had confiscated his firearm, but the court ruled that he must get back his firearm. So he took it and he killed himself. But the municipal manager is in court as we speak, because that investigation continues to find the people that are still behind the death of Siniso Magaba. And that is not going to stop.
You have also made an averment that there are some detectives who were in cahoots with criminals who were within the political killing team, the result of which you took a decision to rotate them. Did some of those, or did any of the detectives of the political killings task team try to influence the Sindiso Magaba case?
No, not that I know of, because when the police when those people were released, police officers were quite upset about it. They were not very happy when such happened. There are many other cases that were in court, and the behavior from both the prosecution and the presiding officers in some of these cases were questionable, that were frustrating the work of the team. So I wouldn't say that their members they were in cahoot with that, but I can confirm again here that that murder of Sindiso Magaba involved policemen. The policemen that were working at Durban Harbour, who comes from that area. They were part of that operation. What I picked up is that Crime Intelligence had a project where this firearm and this stolen vehicle were part of the project, and the project for CITs. It was to deal with CITs. And I've said when you want to infiltrate a certain syndicates, you need to be part of the syndicate. So unfortunately, the people that they recruited as Crime Intelligence to run a certain project, they got recruited to kill Sindiso Magaba. So while they were busy with this mission of Crime Intelligence, which was successful, I must say, unfortunately one of the criminals was killed, but that operation was successful because it was for heist. And that was successful. But the very same criminal that was part of this Crime Intelligence operation, he then participated in the murder of Sindiso Magaba. I think it was quick cash, You already had equipment to use it to carry out the task, and it did it. That was an intended consequence of that project of intelligence.
I think I'm satisfied on that one. Somewhere in your statement, Shamas, you have said that at some stage you made a conclusion that Mkhwanazi and Matlala were aware of the decision to disband the political killings task team prior. Can you elaborate on that? How did you become aware, and are you in possession of any evidence that corroborates your assertion?
Honorable members, when the team was studying the communication from the cell phone of the arrested Mr. Matlala, that's where they picked up the communication between him and Mr. Brown, and the communication that has got to do with the close of the team and the anticipation at the time that the dockets are going to be transferred to Jarasbia. So when we add the events that occurred thereafter, including the transfer of these dockets to Pretoria by the instruction of Jarasbia, we could only conclude that this, what is extract of the communication between Matlala and Mkhwanazi, indicates that the two of them might have had something to do with the closure. Maybe from Matlala's side, might not be directly, because he was being frustrated and complaining to Brown Mkhwanazi, and Brown Mkhwanazi communicating with the chief of staff, communicating with the minister, saying the minister and Sibia must come out with a plan. He might have put pressure to the two to make sure that his friend Matlala is satisfied. That's why he was even saying on the communication, on WhatsApp communication, that he should just stand back and allow the process to unfold. And when this directive came, he was the one first to send that communication to Matlala to say the team that came to harass you has been closed and the dockets are on the way to Sibia. So it's based on the analysis of that communication that was done by the team, of which records are available, that proves that the plan to shut down the team was not just done on the 31st. It's something that was crafted prior to that. Hence the communication that happened that quick.
Now, do you believe that Minister Senzo Mkhunu has a deep unethical relationship with Brown Mkhwanazi and Matlala? And if so, does your belief only rely on his interactions or on the knowledge that they had for the disbandment of the political killings task team, or it also relies on other factors which are in your possession as a police officer, that maybe some you cannot disclose before this committee at this stage?
Beg your pardon, honorable members, honorable chair. I can confirm that the relationship between Mkhwanazi and the minister is unethical. Unethical in the sense that, for starters, the minister claimed, when I appeared before the Portfolio Committee on the 5th of March 2025, he claimed that he did not know the fellow was talking about. It's been proven by the very same minister who says, no, that person is a comrade. I said, when you say comrade, I assume is a colleague in a political party. And this is a person who communicates with December, January. There's a January 8th gathering of that party in Cape Town. Mkhwanazi is facilitating the guest of the minister for Matlala to pay for them to come and attend this thing. And they are here, Sibia is here, everyone is here. They're having meetings in some hotels that we already know of, where they are sitting and having meetings and the likes during that period in January, beginning of this year. When you see then that these criminal activities that are happening, you see Mkhwanazi in position of sensitive police material, and he speaks about the minister. He knows the diary, the calendar of the minister, that on this day is on his way to Sikisiki. So it's a person that is quite knowledgeable. And if this person is not in government, as a colleague to the minister, and this person is not in the political party of which his own political party disowned him recently, that he's never a member there. The records we have in our position is the role that this Mkhwanazi was playing in the political campaign of the very same minister in the past. The communications that time when they were busy fighting for position back then, up to the conference of that political party, we have these records with us because it's an intelligence work that must do. The exchange of monies and the likes is available within intelligence. It's one of the things I was cautioning about that push these members to talk. They're going to release that information because it's there, it's available. And we don't want it to go out because it's a secret of the state that will cause fire. So, Minister Mkhwanazi claiming that this man is a comrade, the political party concern says he's not a comrade. That means the conclusion we must draw is that this is not a comrade, it's a criminal. That the minister is invited to be part of the police. Minister lied when he said he's a comrade.
No, if you are saying, General, we are in possession of evidence, then I'm satisfied. On the 5th of April 2025, you asked for a meeting with a minister, and you suggested that General Sbiya, General Khumalo, General Ken, Mr. Nkabinde, and Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi be part of that meeting. Now, when you were making this request, or before you make this request, did you make an investigation, maybe at a personal level or maybe in your official capacity, of who Brown Mkhwanazi is and of what exactly, how is he exactly involved in the running of the SAPS?
The investigation, of course, when I became aware of this gentleman in as early as end of September in 2024, and confirmed by the Chief of Staff that he's a friend of the minister. And subsequent to that, and the team started uncovering the communication on the cell phone, which happened later in May, somewhere about this year. And when they started realizing that means this Brown Mkhwanazi has got more role to play in policing matters than what we think of. If he did not expose himself to me in September last year, I would not have known about it. But he went quiet after that. When the team started picking up from the cell phone of Matlala about the communication that Brown Mkhwanazi has on his phone, or what he's communicating with Matlala on, and we started realizing that this man is heavily involved in police matters. Therefore, we needed to start investigating as to who is he. And where does he come from? How do they know each other with the minister? And what role is plays? That's why we're able to go back into more than 5 years ago and get to know the relationship him and the minister has, and what is it they were busy with back then, and how they were participating in the political campaign, and all the way up until this day. So we had to dig deeper on Mkhwanazi to know everything about it.
So if the minister can come and say he didn't respond adequately or appropriately to your messages because it was sent on WhatsApp, you did not use an email, how would you react to that? Would you think that would be a fair statement to make?
No, it would be an unfair statement to make. I believe we live in days where communication platforms differ. Perhaps the days when you were still young, you used to write letters through the post. And then the life of SMSs came, and the life of emails came, and the life of WhatsApp came. So he's the one who communicates on WhatsApp as well. He sends messages on WhatsApp telling me he's coming to the province, this and that. So it cannot be that when I ask him for a meeting, he's going to say send an email. So that would be wrong for the minister to say. I like to believe that maybe he's an educated man because he was a teacher. If he say he does not know about the official communication, I would begin to question about his knowledge about the communication platforms that exist nowadays.
And why did you suggest that Mr. Nkabinde? Because I believe that at the time he was just a chief of staff. Why did you suggest that he be part of the meeting?
it had come to my attention about his bad role that he's playing at the office of the minister. I said this was a policeman, that this was a member of IPID as an investigator. This was never a politician. But when I started hearing about how he becomes so vocal in meetings of the minister, and in all these meetings, and I said to the ad hoc committee members that the Police Act provides for the establishment of the Civilian Secretariat of Police, a DG, and the functions of what the DG must do. But I don't even think the DG has been part of these meetings that the minister is having. His spokesperson or the people that are vocal in these meetings about the disbandment of the team is the Chief of Staff and the Deputy National Commissioner of Police. So when you hear that from the people that are part of the meetings, it becomes problematic. And what is worse, you get this information not even from the senior people, you get it from the junior people that are part of the meeting. And they are shocked because what they don't know is that when people are in meetings, they are recording meetings. And they have records of such. So when you hear of this behavior and you start realizing, so all the time, this Chief of Staff has been acting as if he's a good man and yet he's not. So let me get him into this meeting as well so I can tell him what he's doing wrong. I wanted to present to the minister how bad the same person he has in his office, how bad the person that he calls comrade about the advice that he gives them, how bad is the Deputy National Commissioner Spear that works with him all the time, so that he can decide whether he wants to keep these people close to him or he wants to distance himself from them. I warned the current acting meeting minister about the Chief of Staff the first day we met. I told him that this man is a bad man. He asked me why. I explained to him. But he kept him in the office until he went to Madlanga Commission and suddenly he was removed from the office. So I'm not a person who hides things. I tell it straight and you make a decision as an executive authority. If you want to take the advice, you take. If you don't want to take it, you'll have to suffer the consequences.
Unfortunately, Chamas, the chairperson has made an indication that I've run out of time. Chair, I will reserve my outstanding questions for the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. No, angale lana Nkwalenkosi ngithunywa abantu base South Africa bathi angibabongele ekuthenini ume ube indoda ubamela umela iqiniso. So angudlulisa ngoba bona bakhona ukufika la yona into abangithume yona. Indoda eyama ke Nkwalenkosi ngesikhathi thizeni phambilini yamela ukuvimba ukuthi abafuna ukulawula izwe through abaphathi abaphethe ama-divisions.
Honorable Showe, if you may please get closer to the microphone, I can see the members at the extreme.
Okay, am I audible? Okay. Yeah, I hope my time has not started. Thank you very much. That's 10 minutes, right? Thank you very much. Nkwalenkosi. Indoda eyama yamela ukuvimba ukuthi lezi gelekece ifuna ukuthatha izwe ziliphathe through abaphathi bama divisions yayithola isenkingeni yokuthi ke igijinyiswe ikhulunywe kabi ngayo sekuze kuna 2 decades manje 20 years iqala lisekhotha liphele. Umbuzo wami uthi yini eyenza wena wabona kufanele uthathe impilo yakho uyifake ebunzimeni obungaka nasengozini engaka, uthathe ngisho neyomndeni wakho uphinde uyifake lapho, uphushwe yini ukuthi uthathe lesi sinqumo?
Mhlonishwa, kuyinkinga lokho besibhekene nako. Okungiphazamise kakhulu ukuthi lobugebengu ekade sikubona benzeka lokufuna ukwenzeka, abantu befuna ukuthatha izwe ngobugebengu. Ubugebengu obuzolimaza izingane zethu ngoba izidakamizwa lezi abasebenza ngazo. Angisho ukuthi uma bekade kubugebengu obungahlanganisi nezidakamizwa besokubekezelela bese ngeke sikubekezelele kwabona. Kodwa lokhu kuhlangene nezidakamizwa. Ngicabanga ukuthi iningi lomphakathi wale South Africa liyazi ukuthi uma unesihlobo owazana naso noma inengane oyizalayo esiyaqala yadla idakamizwa seyimoshakele ngeke usakwazi ukuyilungisa. Abantu abaningi ke bahlukumezwa lezi dakamizwa. Ingakho ke siwumphakathi sisonke kumele sizimisele sihlangane sibumbane ukuze silwisane nalesihlava. Lokho kungenza ukuthi ngiphakameke ukuthi ngikhulume lolu daba ingoba ngibona ukuthi uma ngiliyeka ukukhuluma umndeni wami ukhona nje umshana wami odla idakamizwa ngikhuluma nawo eziqhamuka ngabo labantu. Uma abaphathi bezovumela lezi inkinga ukuthi ziqhubeke nokuthengisela izingane zethu lezi dakamizwa zize nazo zilethela South Africa zizakhe la South Africa okushuthi kahle izwe leli lizobe lifile sothi silele emathuneni thina sibe sishiya ingane zethu zihlupheke. So ngaleso sizathu ngiyabona ukuthi kumele ukuthi sikhulume manje ukuze sikwazi ukulungisa izwe ukuya phambili. Lokho kuncane umuntu angakwazi ukwenza njengoba ethunywe enikeza umsebenzi ukuthi avikele izwe. Kumele ukuthi sikwenze ngisho kuthiwa kuyingozi thina ngoba ubungozi vele into umuntu aloka eqala engena emaphoyiseni ukuthi iphoyisa amaqhuma isibhamu ngala abantu bebaleka bayale iphoyisa afuneka liqonde laqhuma khona isibhamu. Kumele lisinikele ngalokho. Lokho engikwenzile kuyafana ke nalokho ukuthi ngiyazinikela ukuthi ukuze umphakathi uvikeleke kumele thina esinikeza umsebenzi ukuthi sivikele umphakathi kube yithina esizinikelayo kuqala. Ngicabanga ukuthi leyo kuphela nje into engayifika ukuthi engigqugquzela ukuthi ngikwenze lo engikwenzile.
Ngiyabonga. Honorable Shongwe and the General, I want to make a request to yourself that we involve the whole of the Republic in our conversation, because those are the people we represent here. The languages that we use are permissible by law. There is nothing wrong speaking in your mother tongue. I have been brought to the attention that we don't have translation services. I mean, interpreting services here. So you can imagine the vastness of the Republic. Even if we have ourselves here, but we want somebody who is in Musina or somebody in Springbok, because these are matters of national interest. So I just want to request you that I can't restrict you from using any language, but we can at least have a fair balance so that, especially ourselves as members of parliament, we represent the people of this republic and they want to hear us, all of them. I think it's a fair statement to make. You disagree, Honorable Sangon and Honorable Chief Whip. What is your disagreement? Honorable Sangon.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Yes, we disagree with you vehemently, Chair. The one thing that perhaps we can agree with you on is the fact that the translation services inside the House are not working. But this Parliament is built on the principle of inclusivity, which allows the use of any of the official languages of this country, including isiZulu, Sitsonga, sign language, and so forth. Now, when we are taking it for granted that when we speak in English, all South Africans understand, then we have made a fundamental mistake. And we are at this point elevating English above any of our other languages. So I think that Honorable Shongwe and and General Mkhwanazi should be allowed to express themselves in any language they wish to. There are media houses who are sharing this information. They can translate where there's a need to translate. Please, Chairperson, thank you.
Chief Whip.
Chair, I think our committee whip has has covered it. Just one point. Because we've got 12 official languages in the Republic of South Africa, it's inevitable that any language you use in any setting will exclude other South Africans. Since we've been running the proceedings in English, I can tell you that there are many South Africans who can understand what we're talking about. Now, the point that we who are here must be assisted to understand one another is fair. But to demand that people can converse in any of the official languages because we may exclude South Africans, already they've been excluded since we started. There are people who can understand English, but who are deeply interested in what we are doing. So I think, Chair, we let's be assisted internally, but I think for South Africans, it is inevitable. We have been excluding them already in our proceedings. Thanks.
Honorable Souls.
Chair, apart from the fact that Khoisan languages must also become official languages in this country, I would like to request, I do agree with the previous speakers, but I'd like to request for my sake, and I think there are others here too, to follow the proceedings, for there to be translation for us, please. May I speak for myself, that there is translation for myself after the General has responded, that someone translates for us. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Chair, before you start my time, do you want to speak, Chair?
Yes, you can speak.
Before you start my time, I just want to talk on that point.
Yeah.
Chair, it is because of such negligence of our work in Parliament that as a committee of police, uGeneral Mkhwanazi is saying the Parliament did nothing on the 5th. It's because the Chair didn't do anything, didn't do umsebenzi wakhe. Not all of us. So I'm just going to protect you, Chair, by saying...
Let's talk to the point of...
yeah, this is the point, Chair. It's exactly the point, Chair, when I say, abantu abangenza umsebenzi wabo cannot fault us kulezo zinto lezo. So our translators, whoever is in charge of translators, should have brought in our translators so that they can translate. We've got this, Chair, to put in our ears so that if we don't hear, we can understand the other language. But we are fairly saying this and nicely saying it and asking. I'll try my best. But I'll try my best, Chair.
I'm not compelling, honorable members. And that is why I said, where I'm sitting, I recognize that we speak diverse languages. But at least if there can be a fair balance. And I'm not saying anybody must not use, I'm not saying nobody must use any language that they are comfortable using. And I want to also make you aware that we have time allocation here. And it's not that some of the constraints we do not understand. If Honorable Souls comes here and say, I'm now speaking in Khoisan, and we come and say, but there is no translation services for Khoisan, we may run into difficulties, and I don't want us to go into those difficulties. I have been using the word reasonably in most cases so that all of us understand that let's exercise reasonableness where we experience constraints. Let's exercise and don't use those constraints as an excuse not to do certain things. The languages, nobody can get into that debate. African languages have to be promoted like any other language that is spoken in this country. And our languages are the ones that affirm our identity and pride and cultural heritage. It's not something that we should debate. I very much agree with what honorable members are saying, but can we please exercise reasonableness? Thank you so much. you can now proceed. You had used 3 minutes of your time.
Huh?
Yes, you had used 3 minutes, and that excludes the responses that the general.
I have a time, Chair. Here. I have only used. So
you have 7 minutes. You have 7 minutes now to conclude your.
You can revert, Chair.
To conclude your task.
Take an answer, Chair, to show you I have used only 1 minute. All right, no problem. I'll respect you, Chair. Thank you, Nkalenkos. Nkalenkos, baphinde bangithuma ke South Africa futhi. Bathi angibabongele kwinsizwa ezigadile. But baphinde bathi angibuza ukuthi how safe is the PKTT currently?
Honorable Chair members, on the PKTT, I'm not worrying much. I worry a lot about the team in Gauteng. The counterintelligence investigation operations that is taking place in Gauteng, I worry about their safety. Why do I say that? Because they were put in a safe house to operate from. The member of this house, together with others, they publish the photos of that house in the media. So therefore, their working place is compromised. The members that are operating the driving vehicles, those vehicles have been exposed in public. And I believe in some degree, maybe even the names of the members might be known. And their safety for me is concerned. The safety of the members that are working in Gauteng, they can't go home. If they go home, they go with the entire delegation of police officers protecting them. So their life is disrupted. And their families, I don't think they are protected either. So it is that group in Gauteng. I spoke about 2 sergeants yesterday. There are other 2 members that have joined in that are working with them now because the team has grown bigger. Together with the 10 that came from KZN. So it's quite a lot of them that are part of that operation. It's those members that I worry more than I worry about the PKTT. Because PKTT is in KZN. Yeah, well, at least they have me and the rest of men and women employed in KZN. They should be safe. I cannot guarantee the Gauteng team the same.
Who's in charge of the Gauteng one and what has he done?
The Gauteng one is General Khumalo that is currently arrested. The one is told he must not enter premises of intelligence.
So apparently nobody is in charge of them.
Well, I think the members are trying to operate from wherever they're operating from because they have been compromised wherever they want to work. Now, within crime intelligence, they cannot operate because what they are trying to deal with involves members within crime intelligence, and the boss of crime intelligence was told by court not to enter the premises, so that they become vulnerable, those members. So
if I may interject, the member you speak about who was taking out photos and stuff like that, are you able to tell us the name who's that member? Because I think that's the worst the member can do and put.
Yeah, well, the member of this parliament, Ms. Korabana, published the photos of the house. Some of the properties as members are working from in her media statement that she issued. I'll reference to it if I see it here, but it's in the public domain, it's known, and she published that. So here's the address, here's the house, and here is this, here's that. They got that information from members within intelligence that were against the work the team is doing, and they took it out there to the media. So, and that compromised the operations. That's why I'm saying that I worry more about the Gauteng team than I will about the PKTT. I think PKTT in KZN, they operate in a place where they've got men and women that knows how to fight the enemy that are surrounding them. So they're quite okay in KZN. But the Gauteng counterintelligence team, I cannot say the same about them.
Okay, I've served under you, under SAPS when I was still working them. So I don't know this part, if I'll be wrong or right. Would what the member done be criminally? He classified as criminal to take out information of safe houses?
Yeah, no, definitely that's a criminal offense, and I do hope that the authorities that are responsible for it, they're going to assist us in making sure such is investigated. I call for an investigation by state security on these leakages of information to the media, amongst of the things that I spoke about yesterday, for specific journalists that keep writing about these things, including the members of this parliament, and members within crime intelligence as well as the Inspector General of Intelligence.
Do you have any proof or evidence of this DA member called Bernard who took out the photos of such?
Well, I don't know who took the photos, but I know that she participated in the circulation of the photos of these residents and addresses in a question that she had asked in Parliament, which I made a reference to when I presented yesterday.
General, let me leave that one because this Katsam is not. The first thing the president of this country, Babu Ramaphosa, does is to take intelligence into his office. Now you come and say, you said crime intelligence listens to our conversation, then will blackmail and capture members. And for me, that's the biggest threat to our democracy because it means MPs that are vocal about issues that are going to be blackmailed. And that won't happen. That won't help me towards a good government. So my question is, what's your take on intelligence being under the office of the president? One, the office, or do you think that would allow the officers to be able to investigate him or those associates of the president? And wouldn't that give him power to manipulate those who go against him?
Honorable Chair, honorable members, I'm an official within the South African Police Service. I don't work within an intelligence structure. Therefore, I cannot comment about the working arrangements of the state security at the office of the president. I know for a fact that when the state security was having their own minister back in the days, and they were not reporting to the office of the president back then, there were wrong things that were happening within intelligence, state security specific. There was even theft of money within the facility. So there were a lot of wrong that was happening there at state security, and that was happening, whereas that same entity was not reporting to the president. So whether they are within the presidency or they are outside the presidency, it doesn't seem to make any difference. If they are bad outside, they will be bad inside. I cannot see the difference between them because, yeah, I'm privy to some things that were happening there. Because, yeah, let me not go further on it because we'll end up saying things that I shouldn't be talking about here. But
no,
no, well, we'll leave it here. Some of us have got gray hair already because we've seen a lot. We've heard a lot. The privilege I have is that in many other parts of the security cluster, there are men and women that felt that it's important for them to share information with me. They've been sharing information with me from back then, and they're still sharing information with me now. And I know evidence. And I think the good thing they did was to make sure that they make use of people that are close to me to work in those environments so that I'm privy to such information. So that's what I'm saying. Some of things don't belong to this place. It belongs to the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. If they were to invite me one day, I'll share things with them that I don't think they'll be ready to hear themselves.
In your proposals last night, you mentioned certain things that you wish in the subs which they should be changed or changed that can be used lapaya. So I want to ask this question, Uguti. In your own general knowledge, would you think it is safe for our state intelligence to remain in the office of the president? And would that not hinder or delay certain investigations that might be against the president, that might be against his friends and close associates? I want to repeat that question because I want your own thinking. Is it safe? I've never seen it in the world where intelligence is in the office of the president, and I don't know why. But I feel that alone hampers some MPs might not be able to be vocal about certain things. So what's your take on that? And if you even said, if you were sitting here Johnson, Advocate Johnson sitting on that side, you'll be able to question him to give us some answers. So I'm asking you, in this same position, Uguti, would you be able to tell us or South Africa, Uguti, is that a proper way of doing things, or would you prefer it being done like that? And at the same time, doesn't that give power to politicians, where intelligence resides in the office of a politician, a senior politician of the country, who has 10 years in the office? When he exits, how safe is the country? Thank you.
Honourable Chair, members, I don't want to go deeper into discussing the structure of government, because I'm not a leader in government. I'm not elected to be there. I'm not appointed to be in that position. So expressing my opinion as a citizen is one thing, but I'm sitting here to come and account about what transpired in July and what we're dealing with as a police. So I said earlier, I know that intelligence at one stage, when at least I was involved with the police management at the time as acting national commissioner, the intelligence was not falling under the office of the president. It was standing independently somewhere. But there were bad things happening there at the very same intelligence, while it is not at the office of the president. So I don't see then why it would be different now. That now it's in the office of the president, it is exposed to be doing wrong. If it's outside the office, it's not. But I have evidence that it was wrong then. They were doing wrong at the time, whilst they were outside the office of the president. So what will stop them not to do now? If you take it back and they go outside the office of the president, what difference is it going to make? When people are dirty, they are dirty, regardless of where they are working. So perhaps the parliament might want to look at whether is any risk associated with that and any evidence that can be produced to support that, and then make recommendations through the Joint Committee of Intelligence and through the class and the president in order to restructure that if need be. But for me, as General Mkhwanazi sitting here, I can comment about the positioning of crime intelligence because it's within my space. But to comment about the intelligence community as SSA department, they are independent away from me. I don't know how they operate. I'm not part of them. So for me to comment on it, it will be wrong. So I wouldn't want to get into that. Invite me to talk about crime intelligence and make my proposals about it. Maybe I can. I made some yesterday about how they must account and so forth. And part of I might recommend on crime intelligence, they shouldn't report to a deputy national commissioner because that post constitutionally doesn't even have to be there. So the head of crime intelligence is supposed to report to the national commissioner and to the Joint Standing Committee in Parliament, then account here and Inspector General of Intelligence, and of course the security or the intelligence structure that is established at NECOC and the likes. This presence of a deputy national commissioner post create these problems where Jarosbia then want to intervene, and the Joint Standing Committee invite Jarosbia to come and present issues of intelligence, and yet is not a commander of intelligence. So it's part of the deficiencies that we have to correct.
One last question. How do we breed police who will stand firm for the country like you did? And how do you protect them from being killed after they have done so well, like PKTT, which is overlooked when it comes to being recognized or rewarded?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I think because of the members of government or members of parliament and all the leaders of our society that must do something to make sure that there's an employment out there, that the youth go to university and study and they get an opportunity to go and work. And by so doing, they'll do what they're passionate about. But we find of late, most recent advertisement, we're looking for 5,000 police officers. We have more than 1 million applications. And more than 50% of those are graduates. They all want to be police officers. They don't have it in their heart to chase criminals. They don't have it in their heart to lay their lives before the citizens to protect them. About them is job. They have to get employment. So they're applying to join the police not because they want to protect and serve. They're joining the police because it is a career for them that they want to pursue. They're unemployed. They're sitting at home. So if you were to ask me about the police officers that are committed to do the job, there are many of them. But unfortunately, I cannot thumbs up now and give the percentage of the total workforce. How many of them are actually dedicated? How many of them are not? We have three categories of employees that we have. We have those that want to lead their lives. And the majority of those that want to lead their life, they listen to the guidances that you give them as a police in terms of equipping themselves with regard to survival tactics, because we teach them those things. And they practice that. They stay fit, they stay healthy, and they stay sharp all the time. They don't go into dangerous situations alone without inviting their colleagues to accompany them. So those are the good ones that really do what we try to help them to do. And there's limitation on what government can do to protect the protector. The protector is supposed to protect the citizens, so therefore the protector must be equipped with resources, physical and skills and the like, to allow that person to protect himself or herself. So we have that group that is there, that we must continue affording the opportunity to be reskilled so that they learn the tricks and tactics that are going to help them to survive. But then we have the group that is lazy in the middle. That missing group in the middle who doesn't want to work, who just enjoys the salary at the end of the month. Something needs to be done about them. That's why performance management and the likes that needs to be reviewed, because there's quite a lot of them that are somewhere in the middle. They are not acting because some of them are lazy, but some of them are not acting because they are afraid of the consequences of acting against criminals. They end up not doing anything. So we have to deal with that group. But then we have the rogue squad on the side, the criminals within the system, few of them. But I believe that our labor laws that deals with the punishment of those, it's allowing them to stay within the organization despite all the evidence that might be presented to get them out. Technicalities, you dismiss a person who was involved with robbery, caught red-handed, arrested, and then it is dismissed in the organization, and he makes an appeal through the council. And on technical grounds, some of the technical ground is because there was no one representing the state who came to argue the case, therefore a default judgment is given. You are forced to reinstate that person back into the organization. It's the labor law that allows that to happen. So it does not take away that he's a criminal. So he's reinstated back into the service because the system allows it. Then you see it with the person that is already been found or arrested for serious crime, but he still wears the uniform with you. And that's what we need to try and fix. So you have that rogue squad that I wouldn't worry about their safety. We have this missing group in the middle that I shouldn't worry much about their safety. But we have the hardworking cops, as we're talking about. We need to provide them with resources, physical, to help them to stay safe. We have to provide them with different skills that should allow them. And as we are saying, motivation is key. The reward system that we have perhaps might need some adjustment. Yes, we do have, but it might need to perhaps to be readjusted so that it benefits the majority instead of the few. Yes, we are going to reward the person. For instance, let me use as an example that we always do. We'll give a vehicle to a top police officer that we have, but the vehicle costs R500,000. But you have more than 10 or 20 police officers who are actually doing exceptional work. But you don't have means to reward all of them. You reward one. But you can take that vehicle and sell it and spread that money and give it to all of them and buy them things that can benefit the majority. But because of limitation as an organization on these rewards, the system of government doesn't allow us to take your money, taxpayers' money, to reward members like that. So therefore, we have to go and look for sponsors somewhere. And when you get a sponsor, there's condition that you can't take money from outside. You have to get, so there is those limitations that makes it impossible to reward everyone. Again, the promotion system we have in the place, it's not about what you've done and how good you are. It's about how you perform before the panel. You arrive before the panel, you exceptionally well, you tick all the boxes, you get appointed, and yet you are lazy. You get the rank, you go outside, you don't deliver. But how can the panel not appoint you? Because if you're not appointed, you reach a grievance and you say, I perform better than this one. I've got this qualification and that qualification before that one. A hard-working horse usually does not have time to study. A real police officer, it runs around with a dog chasing criminals out there. He is on the boots and overall every single day getting dirty, search for dead bodies under the water and do all the dirty things. Whereas the one who sits in the desk has got time to register the university and research and post get advertised, he can see the computer, can apply. That one doesn't even see the computer. He end up not applying. He end up not getting motivated because he doesn't get promoted. Then you have someone who's a desktop person who then become a commander of this one. And then he demoralizes the member. So it's a system within the organization that we might need to look at. And unfortunately, because we are centralized at the national level, we can come up with a proposal, it won't change the policy of the organization. But if it's decentralized, this thing in the province, maybe with the provincial management, we must start saying, how can we best motivate these members that we have? You might come with a reward system that involves the provincial government that may be in a better benefiting of the members that you have in the organization. So it's different approaches that you might want to employ.
I think I would be correct if I say we both agree that what we need to look at is the constitution of the country, that somewhere it has problems. ANC, I'm a victim. So young victimize, I'm a victim, young victimize. Sorry, it's low. So would I be wrong if, would I be correct if the constitution has flaws? Because the Minister of Home Affairs comes out and says there was a whistleblower who was shot twice, and that whistleblower is still alive, unlike the lady who was killed for Tembisa. And the murderers or the suspects are still out with the Lamborghinis. And it's the same law that takes those people out. They are not even arrested. The people you've mentioned that have done wrong, together with the minister, are not in jail. None of them is not in jail. Do you think it's the constitution that hinders us to deliver?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's a constitution. It's the legislations that have been written and, passed through this parliament, sometimes that contribute to such. Not necessarily the constitution per se. The Criminal Procedure Act, how you facilitate an arrest of a person. Back in the days, we could listen to your phone without asking your permission. You came up with the legislation. They said, we cannot do that. We must apply to a judge. The judge is not appointed. And then we sit and we wait until the judge is appointed one day before you can listen to the phones. The judge is appointed, then we can listen to the phones, arrest a criminal with the phone in his hand. And we want to take the phone and download the phone. You pass a legislation that says, Cyber Act, you can't open this phone without getting a consent from the person. So we ask a person, can you open the phone? He says no. Then you're doomed as a police. Then you must start the whole lengthy process again. So the legislation is passed to try and protect the citizens. But the unintended consequences of that protection leads into criminality. So we have to balance the two at times. Not to say what the legislation is saying is wrong, but we must also look at what is an unintended consequence of this legislation. And then you balance the two and say which one weighs the most. I said earlier, if you want to prioritize the human rights of a person, whether is not arrested, whether is arrested, definitely the rights of the person that has been found guilty and is incarcerated must be totally different than the person who's walking on the street. But what we find happening is that there is more rights for those in prison than you have for the person on the street. And I want to challenge you to look at your budget expenditure for the people in custody per day cost of an inmate versus what the grant you are giving to a person who's a law-abiding citizen outside the month. 350 versus 350 a month versus a 500 rands a day. That's how the scale is like. So come to prison, you're going to get education for free, you're going to get free food, you're going to get shelter, you don't run out of water, and so forth. Go outside of prison, you live in a shack. You must rob someone to have bread to eat at night. That's a reality that we find in this country. So the legislation must really, legislators yourself, we plead that we must please look at these things so that when we recruit in the police, we must recruit people who want to protect themselves, not the career people that they can't find jobs somewhere else and they come to the police as a job opportunity that is created.
Thank you, Honorable Shong. At the time you started with your questions, your party had exhausted 35 minutes of your 40. But due to the reasonableness and benevolence of the chairperson, I still allowed you to.
Chair,
so that I'm saying this because I want other honorable members who are still going to speak to understand that you benefited, not unduly, but from the benevolence of the chairperson. So if such benefits accrue to them, it must be our understanding, all of us. Honorable members, under normal circumstances, any candidate will sit for an examination for 3 hours. Since we started questioning at 27 minutes past 9, it's now almost 20 minutes to 1. It means it's 3 hours, 13 minutes. And I'm going to plead with you that, okay, before I make the announcement, let me recognize the presence of the following members of Parliament in our midst. We have Honorable Pambo, Honorable Tambo from the EFF, Honorable Ghana from Rice Msansi, and Honorable Mutaung from the MKP. I saw Honorable Adams. He has been in and out from the Colored People's Congress. I just felt I must take this opportunity because in the morning when we started, I recognized the honorable members who are the members of the committee and called them by names to confirm their presence. So it's also befitting that your presence is recognized here. Thank you so much for your presence. When we come back, we are going to, because I want to avoid a situation where we have a marathon like this, asking one witness questions for a time span in 3 hours. When we come back, we are going to take the Democratic Alliance and the EFF, and then we will have a comfort break, and then come back and take the IFP, the Patriotic Alliance, the Freedom Front Plus and Action SA, and then have a comfort break. That is, so I'm making this announcement so that honorable members, we can from time to time remind each other if the chair misses that out to say, no, chair, you said after the EFF we'll have a comfort break, and then we'll have a comfort break after Action SA. That will be the order of proceedings when we come back. And my apologies, General. We should have broken after 2 hours to give you a break. But let me thank you for your endurance. We are breaking for lunch now. We will come back at 1:30. Thank you so much. Yes, 1:30.
No, I understand. No,